It's about time my different username finally uploaded.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is my different username here, and today I'm going to be showing off something that I haven't made in quite a while, and something that has also been used as a multi-purpose firearm ever since the 1960s. It has more than proven itself worthy throughout history, and it's here to do it again, even in its plastic form. Here, we have the Mossberg 590 shotgun made out of Lego. So, the Mossberg 590 is the later part of the 500 series of shotguns manufactured by Mossberg, a company that started in 1919 and has been creating firearm accessories ever since. But it wasn't until 1960 when the development of the 500 series of shotguns, introduced by a Carl Benson, was implemented. And the design for the shotguns remained the same for the receiver and action, but between all the various models made within the 500 series, they all can differ based on different barrel lengths, choke options, magazine capacities, and some stock choices. Surprisingly, the platform has shown itself to be very useful even in non-combat situations, like being a master key for one, able to be used to open up doors and then thrown to the side. And the US Army has been utilizing the Mossberg for breaching doors even after initially getting replaced in 1999 by the Benelli M4 shotgun, which didn't last too long considering their price tags, although it didn't start looking so good again for the Mossberg shotguns once the M26 came out in 2013, entirely replacing the shotgun systems for the US Army. The model we have here is the later 590 model to come out, but to this day, the Mossberg is still used by many other countries and militaries, as well as serving the civilian market. So, without further ado, let's get into some of its details. And we can go back to where the firearm starts, which is the trigger and selector area. This area features the guard and the trigger, which is a part of my newly built out trigger systems, instead of the old Technic triggers that I used to do. And on top of the receiver, this is where the selector is located, and by switching it back, you can place the weapon into safety, and to bring it back into fire mode, pushing this piece forward will reveal the red dot in the back to show the user that the weapon is ready to fire. And building this piece was a little tricky at first, getting the right size and all. Fortunately, with the help of the encouragement of my Twitch and Discord community, I was able to stick with the simpler 2-stud wide design instead. But with that out of the way, we can move back to the stock of the Mossberg. This stock here is just like any other sporting stock, except being Lego. But it has its contoured grip in the front, a small plate in the back for reinforcement and traction, as well as a sling mount point on the bottom. And you've probably noticed the giant gaping notches on both sides of the stock, and well, this is actually to allow the use of storing shotgun shells into the stock of your weapon. And this stock is an accessory that you can actually get for the Mossberg 590, but my model here takes the concept and allows the ability to store a shell on both sides, transforming the stock more or less into a speed loader, but it is still really cool to actually use. And at this point, we could talk more about one of the coolest features of this shotgun, which is its ability to chamber our little 2x2 shotgun shell here into what is a relatively small diameter for a Lego barrel. And this can be ejected by the assistance of the pump and the help of gravity, because I haven't necessarily tried to mess with anything like extractor claws or springs or anything like that, which at least means there's less things to worry about breaking. And the chamber itself isn't perfect either, and you can actually see right through some of the seams. You can even tell when it is chambered or not, kind of like that one bug, or feature, yes, feature, in Escape from Tarkov with how their shotguns chamber. And, surprisingly, the shell can still be ejected even though the bolt on the inside can't fully travel back because of the mechanism for the selector that gets in the way of its full travel. Another limit to this is that the bottom tube also can't be loaded, but for me, the real challenge was always trying to get the shell to properly chamber, and, well, it does. So who knows, maybe later I can come back to this concept and try to create more aspects to help bring a loadable magazine tube to a future design. The pump itself is made of several bow pieces moving down with this very particular pattern, and this is present on all three sides of the pump. As well, the dual bars that you see here are single stud bars that happen to be in the configuration of 3 studs wide, while also still being able to work within this 4 stud wide receiver, which really is another cool aesthetic that I'm very happy with how it turned out. And you can definitely see the difference in dimensions between the pump and the barrels. Honestly, gives a really great look to the shotgun overall. And the pump action in some views can be simple, but there's still plenty more that can be utilized with this, like the fact that this pump can also be equipped with rails along both of the sides, allowing a multitude of attachments like this flashlight with ring mount that I have built here. And this build was inspired by a real life setup that you can see here, and then it was later recreated into its Lego form. Now, the real life flashlight can turn on and even switch modes from the very back of the button, whereas my model doesn't actually have the button available in the back, but instead, the model can be opened up, revealing this small LED flashlight that I've used previously in my Glock video before. And with a twist, the Lego flashlight is now completely functional and can also be used in the dark with the pump action in mind. And just as easily, it can be very well converted back to its regular old pump action. As mentioned before, with the different types of barrels and magazine tubes you can find with the different Mossbergs, this one right here happens to support an 8-round magazine tube and a 20-inch barrel, as well as having a bead sight at the very end of it, which generally gives decent aiming principles by lining up the bead to the top of your receiver, and for the most part, it feels very robust to aim. But this smooth barrel can actually have the tendency of heating up after dispensing multiple rounds a little too quickly, almost to the point of burning yourself when touched. So, to prevent this, a shroud that surrounds the barrel was created for the 590, and this right here is what is called the Heatshield. This is the Heatshield built for the 590, and getting an attachment like this to work was kind of tricky, and I was only really able to build this out because of the way that the barrel for the Mossberg was already designed, which let me tell you needed so many turntables, but it definitely helps give that really distinct look that only a Heatshield can properly give off. And this also reinforces the original design for the barrel more, essentially taking the barrel at a 1 plate depth from before and turning it into 2, making the whole barrel fully reinforced against the receiver. And to be fair, I just honestly like the look of the Heatshield, so that's mainly why I wanted to build it. And I mean, come on, it does look really cool, and just wait until we actually switch out the bead and the back end for a whole other pair of iron sights that we can equip for this gun. And these are the sporting sights for the Mossberg. As you can see, they have a really iconic look to them with these giant wings that protect the aperture in the middle, and all this rests on a single 1x1 stud that is then placed onto the top of the receiver for the Mossberg, which definitely is not the most stable way to mount, well, really anything, but at least it could be straightened out, and from there you could see the final result. And aiming this feels very nice. Looking to find the red through the aperture makes it great and easy to use. And this is how it compares to another example of Tarkov, because come on, I gotta show off Tarkov, like, it's a really good game. And I don't know what it is, but something about the Heatshield and these iron sights together just really gives me what I want to call my favorite conversion of this gun. However, we are far from over, because when it comes to conversions, there is another one that I really want to show off, and this build was inspired from another video game, technically in mind. So, changing out some accessories like the Heatshield and the sight up front here, and even bringing back the rails from the pump earlier, and swapping out the rear sight back here with this Picatinny rail that can equip a multitude of attachments, such as optics and even this ghost ring sight. And from this point, I think it's pretty clear to see what type of gun I have created, and this one comes from Rainbow Six Siege, the LEGO M590A1. And this is basically my favorite weapon to use whenever playing as Sledge or Smoke, but I haven't really played in a while, and I honestly for my life cannot imagine why that is. But regardless, I figured since we were making the 590, why not make the exact model used like in Rainbow Six Siege? I think I got the look of the weapon pretty much down all the way to even the iron sights, and aiming down with the tritium front sight is really cool, and actually it's such an easy effect to create as well, just using a little green lightsaber piece up in the front. And these two last builds that you have seen for the most part have been what I'd like to call the long version conversions of the Mossberg. But there does exist another version of this barrel in LEGO form, and this even replaces the mag tube on the bottom as well. But now with the short barrel, it really does feel weird to have this sports stock also attached. It just looks so odd, and not only that, but...
Wait, that's illegal.
Thankfully though, this does have the ability to remove its stock end, similar to how it would in real life, and we can replace the typical stock piece here with the smaller and less conventional Raptor grip, designed for the shorter barrel in mind. And just like that, we have what is now known to a lot of people as the 590 Shockwave. The 590 Shockwave is basically what you would consider the shortened version of the original 590, nothing really too crazy, originally being only 39 inches in length and now being reduced down to 26.5 inches. It still makes a very notable weapon, even having the ability to load 5 shells within the magazine tube. But this Shockwave isn't quite complete yet, because firing a weapon like this, especially in 12 gauge, could be very difficult to handle for some, as you could easily lose the weapon with a poor grip. But with the addition of straps to the pump, this could help with essentially having your fingers being wrapped up and held so that you really never lose your grip while shooting. Even on the bottom of it, we have Mossberg written out with these special letter tiles, and now we have the full Shockwave build for the 590. And to show off that I wanted to replicate this as accurately as possible, we could even compare this to my very own 590 Shockwave. And I know I've done this before with the TAR 21, but I really just wanted to show off how close I can get to the real deal with my LEGO design. But to clear up some misinformation about any of this real quick, I must mention that this isn't technically a 590 and instead is a 590A1. The difference being that these ones were built with an overall thicker barrel, considering that the 590s had such heating issues, so that's what we truly have right here. And it has everything that I have mentioned earlier from the LEGO version, but this isn't LEGO. Also, considering the Shockwave in its basic form, I always thought to myself that I could actually enhance it to my own special liking, and here we have my own personal build for the 590A1 Shockwave. And the mods that I picked out for this Shockwave includes this rail system and red dot on the top, the flashlight and sling mount on front, and this stabilizing brace replacing the Raptor grip in the back. The red dot is actually the exact same Viper red dot that I had teased before from my previous video, and this is the real version of that sight. It can activate and adjust from the side here, and has a pretty vibrant red dot too. Right here we have the stabilizing brace, and this is an accessory that attaches to the rear of the gun and allows the firearm to be fired one-handed, similar in fashion to shooting a pistol. And the brace serves to help those who can't fully brace their weapon to their shoulder, so instead it helps brace it to their forearm, allowing those with limited abilities to still shoot. And near the magazine end cap, we have one mount system set up for a sling on the left side, and the rail system mount to attach the flashlight on the right side of the gun. With the addition of a sling, this could be added to the left side, while the remainder can also be wrapped around the brace too, making it a lot easier to use the sling overall. Whereas on the right side, the flashlight is used for when the sun cannot always be around to help you see, making situations in the dark a lot more viable, and this was specifically placed there so it does not interfere with my line of view while using it. But to activate, it's actually a lot easier to wrap my hand around the barrel and to use my left thumbs to press the normal, low, or strobe feature. And well, let's see how this stacks up in comparison with my own personal build being personally built out of LEGO. I really wanted to get everything down as far as the aesthetics go, and with how the mods actually engage with the rest of the Mossberg. I really wanted to make everything basically as legit as possible, so to start off, let's take a look at the flashlight and sling mount combo for my LEGO model. It's built quite differently than what you've seen previously on the real version, considering that these two mounts were so thin that together they essentially made up the same size as a normal brick would, and I wanted to make them into a stable platform so that they wouldn't break so easily, and that's what I built right here. And just like the real ones, this one works as well, the left side having the sling mount, which can take a sling that is essentially thin enough for LEGO. It mounts to the sling and to the stabilizing brace with this super duper official LEGO sling, which looks pretty decent. And on the right, we have our flashlight that you probably remember from earlier, but what's great about this rail system is that the flashlight isn't permanently fixed to it, meaning it could be removed and replaced with possibly a laser or really any other form of attachment. But moving back, the stabilizing brace here is without a doubt one of the most difficult attachments to make for the Mossberg. Considering the wicked angle that it sits at, not at all running straight with the gun, that this was also made to accommodate the crazy angle that you could see on the real version. And this was done using an L-shaped technique that runs along on the inside that connects both the brace and pistol grip together, which was built to be pretty accurate and ergonomic to the real life one. And the brace itself isn't meant to move at all and features some interesting details along the sides here, and also having the wings move down in this interesting angle from left to right. And this technically can allow my arm to move inside just like the real brace would, but it's not the most perfect system in the world. It kinda works. And I will at least say that definitely getting this part of the attachment to be so stable and look pretty decent too is something that I'm truly proud of. And if you guys haven't seen the CZP07 video, you should check it out via end card here or right after this. Not to spoil anything, but the red dot still doesn't necessarily work. But at least it looks just like the Viper red dot itself, featuring the two little buttons on the side here, as well as adjustment screws in the back and the curved facing glass up front. And, well, I'll admit, it does suck to have a red dot sight that doesn't work, especially on a gun like this, but luckily I still have my big ol' holographic sight sitting around, and this actually does activate, and just like that, the LEGO Mossberg 590A1 Shockwave with all these mods and attachments feels like it's almost fully come to life. But I actually still have another bonus attachment for you guys, and believe it or not, but Mossberg has a separate model built for their shotguns that comes installed with a detachable magazine attachment, and this is what is normally referred to as the Mossberg 590M. This 5-round magazine does come with a super robust design, it's extremely thick all around, and it even has a little shotgun shell sitting on the top. It kinda saddens me though that I couldn't make all the available models in real life, but at least they are available in the digital version, which you can all still download and build. But fair warning, because those magazines were basically designed within the computer and I never fully tested them out in physical form, so if you end up deciding to build out those sections and essentially build out bigger magazines, they'll probably need a test trial or two before trying anything else. And the magwell region has been built differently to accommodate the 3 different cutouts on each side, and to minimize the time needed to build out this project, I did choose to make a simple push-pin magazine release system, which is a shame, but it's not too bad at least, because I could always go back to refine this design more, and possibly even make an automatic magazine release system instead. So, in conclusion, I can say with utmost certainty that it really does feel good to finally cover every single attachment built for this shotgun. It has been a long journey and was definitely not easy to get all this footage together and took an extraordinary amount of time to get done, but man, was it so worth it. I really want to know. But either way, it's exciting to finally get to this point in the video, and I hope you all have enjoyed as well. So, if you guys want to build your own Mossberg 590 shotgun out of LEGO yourself, you can download my instructions in the description below. And something that kind of hit me last second, but this gun doesn't necessarily shell eject, but if you really wanted it to and you ended up building the gun, here's a little instruction guide on how you can get it to shell eject yourself. First, and I think this is obvious, you should definitely be within your house, and also you should be in a safe area in general. From that point, you could actually take your Mossberg build, aim it up into the air, and then slightly point it over to the right. And what this does is essentially help with gravity, and at that point, you could pretend to fire the gun as if it's actually shooting, and then shell eject it. You could do this on your bed.
Oh no, I'm sorry, George. Oh.
You could do this on the couch. Or you could safely do this on the floor, and this also gives you the effect of the shotgun actually shell ejecting. Wow. Awesome. So, subscribe if you guys want to see.
You better subscribe to my different username, or you might miss whenever the hell this happens again.
Yeah, what he said. Honestly, thank you so much, Gianni. Duke, that's what I said. But yeah, if you actually want to check out Duke's other voice work, you can actually check out the link down below to his channel. Check it out. And as always, thanks for watching.